their EDGE certification papers, and we've been engaged with that.
Mr. Wright, in the package that's bidding on Friday, there is a 5% EDGE participation goal in that package. And we do know that we have an EDGE certified firm that is looking at it as a prime and maybe a subcontractor on that package. So that package does have that goal in it.
One of the questions the community is asking is a little bit more detail about the geothermal. If you're looking for a constant of 55, or just explain a little bit about that process.
I didn't hear the constant of 55. What does that mean?
If you're looking for a temperature, constant temperature, what's involved, and what are you looking for when you go out to do the testing for the viability for geothermal?
Well, the important part about the conductivity test that's going to be going on right now is to really determine the viability of the soil. And the viability of the soil, when you're talking about geothermal, is the rate of dispersal of heat or coolness back into the pipe. So this test is going to be conducted Saturday, and it's going to be approximately 300-foot deep well. From that, then they'll be using gauges to determine how fast the heat leaves the liquid that's in the pipe and then also returns back up in a cool state. With the ground being a constant 50, 55 degree temperature, somewhere in that order, more about 55 degrees, then they'll go back and do the calculations to determine for Syed's group how many wells we actually have to drill. Because this is a 285,000 square foot complex, including the Washington building, plus another 20-some, maybe 20,000 for the auditorium, we could be envisioning some 200 to 300 wells to provide the geothermal system. And what the process is that it takes the heat out of the pipe in the summertime, cools it up, brings cooler water back into the system that allows for the equipment not to have to work as hard. And in the wintertime, it works just in the reverse. It throws it back into the ground and takes the heat out of the ground so that it can help the system heat the building in the wintertime. So it's a great way to conserve natural resources, but also use the earth as a conduit for heating and cooling of the building.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anything else? Good.
I
have one question. Go ahead.
I just had one question. When I'm looking at the for the drama teacher office space at 125 square feet, is that the sole space for when we have other people that are involved in the production? We talked about having them have a place to be able to make calls and to have their things. Is that the total space that's dedicated to having staff working with the production being able to use?
That is currently 125 square feet. That's what we talked about with the district right now. Again, this 125 may get a little bigger when we start laying the building out, because we do have some areas where it'll get adjusted. But that's the only place right now we have for drama people to meet. And the district has mentioned that this office is not going to be used for any outside entities, all coming in.
No purchase service people.
Right.
We want to stay away from that because of some other issues we've had in the past. But if there's any joint production or summer theater, that is the office for that.
That's I had in mind specifically summer theater,
right.
And that is the co-shared space for that.
Right. I have a question. I probably could have asked this at a different meeting. The signature for OSFC on the LFI for the auditorium, I'm just not quite clear why they don't sign it because we're co-funding part of it. It's not as though it's a 100% LFI. It seems as though we partner with them, but they don't have apparently anything to do with that POR. If I understand
the co-funded square footage, which is the 8,177 square feet, is in the program of requirements for the building, and OSFC did sign off on that program.
Okay.
And this is what you're signing tonight is the difference, the 19,000 and
Okay.
change of square footage that is strictly the LFI portion.
And that's how we came up with that total square footage. And I wasn't clear. Are we 1,000 square feet larger in the new one as we compare? Katie had a comment about how much larger we were going to be.
7,000.
I wasn't sure if it was 1 or 7.
Wasn't it 7,000?
7,000 square foot larger. Larger.
But we have less seats, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just playing with that. math.
Katie, that's all the spaces, though.
Uh-huh.
Right.
A lot of then warehousing, costume areas where we lack it. We lack that now. Okay. Okay. Thank you. But always learn something new.
Any other questions out there in the audience? Okay, thank you.
The lead, Mr. Stevens, and that you went to that meeting,
Yes.
and then they said they were going to probably do that, and then at our meeting on Friday, they indicated they most likely will be sending us something soon, and they don't know. But we would have to, it is right around $1 million, because they had done some very, very rough calculations. We're waiting to hear from them. And we would have to use one of our other revenue sources that would be too large of an amount in all likelihood to come out of any cushion that was built into the project, because there are 5% and 7% cushions depending on whether or not it's new or renovation. And this would be external, such as investments and some other settlements that may be forthcoming.
The positive part of it on the financial side comes after the building's constructed. We may have significant energy saving costs, and that's why if we can do it, if we can afford to find that $1 million somewhere that we can do it, it would be great to do. So that we're going to do everything we can to try to come up with that extra money out of some other fund or some other location if we can find it. Things are tight.
Is it possible to use our current energy conservation program to borrow against anticipated revenue on a funding source for that?
You could probably borrow against anticipated revenue.
Just for that piece.
But we'd have to check that out. I'd have to check that out. I could find out. But we have a couple of ways we've been talking about acquiring that money.
Because that program anticipates that.
Right.
Right. So,
Those savings.
right, those savings. So if they'd allow us to count that, it might be a creative way to.
Yeah, because those are already built into our general fund projections.
Right.
And if we take them out, then that will
Right.
create a different balance in the year for those.
Right.
So it's a complex thing, but I think we can work it out. There's some ways we can go.
Excuse me, can I also say one thing? Because of OSFC's position on getting sustainable buildings, there is a significant dollar associated with the filing fees and the certification process. OSFC has agreed across the board that they will pick up all of those thousands of dollars associated with that. So that's not part, the district won't be taxed with that. So that'll be the thousands of dollars associated with that will be picked up 100% by OSFC.
So we said about this funding, that just this week we received our $1,250,000 from our QZAB loan, which is a low-interest loan, 2%, less than 2% over 15 years. So what you're talking about, we've already done once, and that's a reasonable payment we can pay out of the general fund and still have a better building than what we had before. So that it can be done, but we have to look at. I'll have to look at every source of financing we got and see if we can come up with that money in some way. That's why I wanted to know approximately what it was, how much it was.
And then you'll come back to us with that information?
Yes.
On time and on budget?
Absolutely.
Well, you've been doing a really good job so far.
Mr. Rickett and I, we've been talking, we have more friends than we ever had in our lives.
Yes.
People trying to sell us events.
We meet more friends every day.
More friends every day, and some of them are good friends.